when you get the start that they got in game number 1. But now we are into game 2. Let's see if EG can replicate that feat, make game number 2 a much easier affair, or if Gaimin Gladiators will make this a 1-1 series. Let's go. Let's check this out. One thing I must disagree with you on there, Fluke. You say they don't have an answer for BKB Black Hole? Man, didn't you see Team Aster versus Fnatic? Monet showed us the answer. You just right-click the Enigma to death. It's fine. Just don't be in the black hole and just kill him. Yeah,
I was going to say, yeah, as long as you're outside of the black hole, it feels good, right? That's the only real way of getting around it. So, I mean, as long as Nightfall is in a good little spot here, it should be okay. Oh, Celery. Yikes.
Well, he's not in a good spot. He's down. And that is not going to be... Well, he died for the sake of blocking a camp. So, hashtag a proper support death. Trying to make the laning phase easier for the Visage. This should be scouted, though. Crit does have a sentry. He hasn't propped it down just yet. And Fly has one as well. So as soon as they figure out exactly where it is, they should be able to get the D ward. But, you know, Undying doing what he can. And now, also, because he's died so early, Fluke, he's taken pressure off of his lanes. No one has to worry about messing up and giving away first blood.
I mean, that is true. First blood has already been given away. You should just see what Tofu's doing here in the bottom side.
No, this is meta.
Is he just kind of try and mess around with Nightfall? Maybe he's
I think he was going Scatterblast.
Yeah.
I think that's what he wanted to do. He wanted to like melt half the creep wave. He was hoping that Nightfall would go for the conversion on the high ground, but Nightfall was patient enough to wait. So we will not be having a situation where he can interrupt the early laning of this Enigma.
I was going to say that it would have been a nifty little play coming in there from Tofu to at least put the pressure back onto Nightfall, who they've actually left alone. And I like the way that EG does this as well, right? Because they have this this ward in the lane, so they know that they can try and abuse the fact that early on they have very, very strong heroes. Level 1 for this Sven as well as the Mirana are very, very good. And you can just see Gaimin Gladiators, they don't want to show until they see where Crit has been. And the vision, once again, is really, really strong. I didn't really talk about it all too much in that previous game, but the way that EG were able to play around their wards, you know, they put them in such good positions that they're able to just take parts of the map and really understand where Gaimin Gladiators have been and make it such a very small map for Gaimin Gladiators to play in. And now Crit has been spotted out. He's going to go back top.
It did take quite a while. They were really trying to force that kill, but Ace was so patient, prepared to sit all the way far back until he knew that there was safety to emerge from the trees once he sees the Mirana show in the top lane. Will be rewarded by this patience by just not dying. And middle. Let's talk about this lane here. We saw Primal Beast versus Pango in the last game. Now we have the Ember Spirit, who just gets all slotted into by Boom. It feels like, although Ember can certainly get CS for himself, it feels like he's never really playing underneath the safety of feeling good until he gets level 6. Before that, he's always going to be on his tippy toes, imagining that this Primal Beast might just quickly trample him down and make his life a living hell.
Yeah, I think that's the reason why that you're seeing that Arbed's not going for this Flame Guard either. Feels pretty useless into the trample, right? Like the trample, he's just going to pop Flame Guard, and he's just going to trample it off. So very, very hard for Arbed to actually try and abuse the Flame Guard this time around. That's why I like that he's going for this max slight build. He's going to have chains as well, so that means if he's going to have early access to this searing chains, it means to me that Arbed's going to make some rotations. And you're going to see that on the back of, you know, him getting towards a power rune. Crit's going to make a rotation because he's playing his Mirana. He loves being extremely active on this Mirana as well. So if they're able to secure a power rune towards the mid lane, he can make his first rotation, and we talked about it multiple times. These mid Primal Beasts like to be the first one that rotates and like to have them react to you. But if Arbed's the first one to do it with, you know, multiple levels in these searing chains, it'll be very, very hard for Gaimin Gladiators to respond themselves.
Down bottom, you see Fly and Celery, they were trading out some high fives, you know, some camaraderie being shown. They're competitors, but we're all friends here as well. Ace just wants a better game than last time out. You were mentioning that recovery Midas he had to buy towards the end of the game. It was due to the fact that they applied so much pressure onto him in the early portion. It felt like he wasn't really getting farm. So far, it's not looking uber great, but does get a little bit better as he starts to climb these levels. And without the Mirana coming bottom or the Ember Spirit, it's unlikely they kill him. But Arbed in the mid lane trying to go for a jump onto Boom. He had a lot of damage coming out, but just not enough to kill him. Dude, Arbed is dominating this lane. Like, Boom is very far off the pace here. Gets onslaughted into, but Abe is not going to care. He's like, cool, mate. It's fine. I'll just keep on winning.
Yeah, you can see what Boom's trying to do now, right? Like, he just... Oh, okay. Ace does get the first kill there onto Crit. Arteezy. Rare miss.
Should be fine.
Yeah,
he destroyed the tombstone. It looks that way, yeah.
Yeah, it looks like he did. And this is what we you know, I was talking about just before with Abed being able to play fast. You can see that Boom understands that he just kind of needs to push out this wave. He doesn't really want to play up against the max side of Fist Searing Chains combination coming in from Abed. And he's at the point now where he's kind of just had to spam out this lane and then just see if he can make the rotation. Hasn't been able to connect anybody just yet because he's only level 4, so he's waiting until he has a bit more of these levels back in, and then he'll kind of, I don't want to say have to make a rotation, but it's going to be very, very hard for him to stay in lane up against a massive amount of damage the Saber Spirit can pump out.
Speaking of difficulty staying in lane, we saw down bottom that Arteezy also pops some regen here. Has access to these infused raindrops, and it's the only thing keeping him alive up against the spam of the soul assumption coming in from Ace. Arteezy also running out of mana as well. Needs to be careful. Celery has finally run out of mangoes, so that's going to offer some brief reprieve from this bottom lane. The constant, unending spam will end for a second. That'll allow Arteezy to finally play Dota a little bit again, but Fly might not be allowed to do so. He's getting ran down on. Good Storm Hammer onto Celery to deny the advance and to prevent Ace from getting clear vision. No kills just yet, at least after Fly has returned to this lane. And Arteezy's cool. He's noticing that finally they're both out of mana. And yes, they have a Ring of Bassi, but they're not going to be able to apply as much pressure as they were like 90 seconds ago.
Yeah, this is the reason why we're seeing a whole lot of usage in towards the Shadow Fiend. Like, I like the lane into the SF just because you have this Soul Assumption spam. You've got the Gravekeeper's Cloak to feel strong, but you get a kill here on Ice is bad.
Might end up dying, but Arteezy is not safe either. Celery, though, doesn't have the mana to finish him off, and Arteezy will happily be denied instead. Celery didn't want to chase him there. Okay, good move coming in from EG to bring down this Visage. And top lane, though, they really want to try go on to Derecho. Crit doesn't have the arrow. I think he's already committed it. The Malefice stun is going to be good enough to put Derecho in an awkward spot, but not good enough to kill him. And now Crit, he realizes that he might have slightly overextended. Still has some leaf charges, though, so he gets himself away from danger. We haven't looked at the top map for a while. So, Enigma, how do you feel like he's doing in this game? Making good progress towards the Wraith Pact. How soon did he go for BKB, do you think, for Nightfall?
I think this game he definitely just wants to get Wraith Pact and then probably just get a Blink BKB after that. Like, yeah, I don't think there's really any other items that he cares all too much about this game, just because, you know, being an Enigma, most of the time you can have a relatively okay kind of laning phase. Usually when we saw Enigma, you know, 1 or 2 patches ago, Bristleback was the main kind of issue, and that was when it was pretty hard for Enigma. But these days, it's pretty straightforward. You know, you're just constantly denying the range creeps, permanently getting a little bit of farm, and once he gets his Wraith Pact, that's when we'll see the combination of the rest of EG coming in to try and help him out. Now, we see the first rotation that's going to be coming in here from Boom. He's got DD Root, and he's smoked up as well.
Yep. Kill Tofu on the other side of the map, but they might be able to get revenge down bottom. Onslaught, it's going to connect into Arteezy, the primary target here. He's been pulverized after the trample, and that should net them the kill. Fly is still nearby here. Boom activates the uproar, wants the bonus damage. Will he be able to kill him? Has a DD rune for good measure, but doesn't have a way to catch up to the Sven. It does have boots and will be able to walk away. Nonetheless, successful rotation, like you said, coming in from this Primal Beast. He's so good at being able to just very quickly make his presence known and get a quick kill for himself. And they might try again middle. Onslaught is up there, pulverized in 4 seconds. Will he try go for it? I'm not sure if he spotted Tofu on the high ground. They do have an Observer Watch here, so now Tofu goes in with the Fire Snap Cookie. Do they have the damage? No, they do not. Abed survives at about 100 HP, but he will be able to live and get all the way home. And Tofu realizes, oh, I've been scouted. Gotta get the G-Ward.
Yeah. I like that rotation that came in there from Boom as well. They put a lot of pressure onto Nightfall, so they made sure that Crit couldn't make this rotation towards the middle lane to get this power in either. And they didn't have vision of the power ins either, did EG. They've used a lot of their wards a little bit more defensively here just to try and hold out to see where Boom's going to make this rotation. And speaking of Boom,
He's fine. They have their own observer ward that scouted out to Fly, making his own movement, so he knew that he needs to get out with the onslaught ASAP. That might put Abed in a bit of danger here. The Celery is making a rotation over as well. Abed caught in. There's the pulverized. Tofu comes in with the fire snap cookie, and this time around, he's still alive. Gets off a regen rune as well. Who is this Abed guy, man? Outplaying Gaimin Gladiators, and he goes back in for a kill potentially onto Tofu with a maxed out slide. It's back online in 1 second. Should have enough damage to kill, but no. The protection offered by the tier 2 tower enables Tofu to stay alive. He's still gonna go for it though. It's very low cooldown, so he can keep spamming it out. And in the meantime, they also killed Diraicho in the top lane here, Fluke.
Yeah. This is just EG. They've just hit TI form, and the way they're playing around their heroes, the way they're playing around the lane states, they understand that with so many heroes being mid, Abed saw 3 heroes towards the tier 2 tower. They got the kill on the ace on the bottom side, and they knew that they could just completely dive Diraicho. They knew that there was going to be no response for them. Tofu was in the middle lane, Celery was there as well, and they just take care of all these heroes. And as long as you have information about where people are being, you can play however you want on the map. And EG abused the amount of information they've been able to get out of Abed here, who's been playing immaculately. And this is what I talked about. It is so hard for them to kill this Ember Spirit. They get the Pulverize into a Fire Snap cookie, and they still don't have the damage to kill him. So they're going to have to try and combine with a few more heroes to try and take down Abed, who I think, I mean, I don't want to call it early, but I feel like this could be a pretty dominant Ember Spirit performance this game round.
Going on to Tofu, and well, there used to be a Snapfire in the top lane.
Yep.
Abed really starting to exert himself on the map. They can start with this push now as well, since Nightfall will have access to more of these Eidolons. And sadly, this does mean that Diraicho's Drow Ranger has even less space to play on the map, and Abed is still hunting him. Assuming that he's around here somewhere. Diraicho, this is a real catch-22, right? You don't want to leave this lane and just go into the jungle already, but staying around does feel like it could get dangerous and prickly. And now he's been scouted. They have a remnant here as well for this Ember Spirit, so they can come back to find him. Diraicho, no black hole, but they still have Malefistan. They still have an arrow, and he's gonna does feel like it could get dangerous and prickly. And now he's been scouted. They have a remnant here as well for this Ember Spirit, so they can come back to find him. Diraicho, no black hole, but they still have Malefistan. They still have an arrow, and he's gonna probably end up dead. One more right click from these Eidolons, and Diraicho's gone. Abed shows up to the top lane as well as Boom goes in, trying to find a way to bring down Crit. Not gonna be able to do so. They do cancel the TP though, so Nightfall can't leave, but it turns out that he's not stuck in here with you. You're stuck in here with him as he brings in some allies. They get these kills, and 3 heroes end up falling in the top lane.
Yeah, I mean, this is what happens when you just start out so far ahead. And the fact that the Ember Spirit has to play relatively freely. If he doesn't get pulverized, they saw where the Snapfire was as well, thanks to the wall that they previously placed behind this tower. So they knew that the Snap wasn't going to come anywhere close towards them. And they just were able to just kind of play around the fact that they know that this Ember Spirit is completely untouched, and having a DD rune as well for Abed. Actually, pardon me, that ward is a dire ward, not a radiant ward. So they were able to just kind of play around the fact that they know that Ember Spirit is kind of untouchable at this point, right? Like, they have to worry about the Pulverize, and have to worry about the Gust, and have to worry about Fire Snap. Outside of that, they really don't care. So Abed, I think he's going to play completely unchanged this game, and it looks like he's having a bit of a free one this time around.
Yep. Ember Spirit really putting the screws onto the side of Gaimin Gladiators. And unfortunately, even with this mid-Primal Beast, they haven't been able to dominate this early game in the fashion that they really wanted to. Might see them decide to try and smoke up and make a move towards bottom now that they have access to these familiars from the Visage. So that's some much-needed damage, but we've seen what can happen when you make these big moves is that the counter initiation from EG pretty extreme at this moment in time.
Yep.
And look at this. Look how confident RTZ is feeling. Does he go for D-Lance? Does he rush Yasha? Nah. Shadow Fiend just buys Midas. He's chilling, man. Playing some PvE Dota. He's like, y'all are winning this without me. You don't need me, right? Let me just get some net worth, please, man. As Boom, he just has to be like, guys, wait, I want to get involved. Nope, can't get involved because Abed is killing everybody in the Radiant jungle.
Yeah, oof. This is not good. This is not good for Gaimin Gladiators. I talked about it in the draft. They really didn't have any answers to this Ember Spirit. And they had to respond with, I believe it was a Drow Ranger, so she has her own stuns, and then their final pick was the Visage as well. But, you know, usually you don't see these Visages go for something like an insane killing build like Ags into Orchid or something along those lines. They just go for Wraith Pack, and they try and play for these auras. And, like Abed, the fact that he is so far ahead right now, they really don't have anybody who's able to be the aggressor, and don't really have anybody who is scary on the map for them. Draccio.
Speaking of aggression, EG show their own aggression in the mid lane, utilizing the first Moonlight Shadow of the game. They bring down Draccio. And here's what really sucks about their lineup. Because they have this extreme mobility between Ember Spirit, between this Mirana, eventually we'll have Blink Daggers for the Sven and the Enigma as well. All of these heroes, who's actually scared of Morty's Kisses? Morty's Kisses are not actually that fast, and because they don't have that much lockdown on the side of Gaimin Gladiators, they can't guarantee that the Kisses rain down properly onto you unless the target is pulverized. So if they're not pulverized, can't get the damage out, so they can kill your Drow and walk away, barely suffering any damage in the process. Things are getting rough, fam. It's so rough that EG are feeling confident enough that Arteezy can just spam out Requiems on creeps because he doesn't need them for fights at this moment.
Yeah. I was going to ask, I heard a Requiem go off, but I didn't see any Gaimin Gladiators heroes anywhere near him, so I guess he just Requiemed a creep stack at that point. Yeah. Like, I mean, if you're feeling yourself, you're feeling yourself. So, you know, big props to EG. I like what Gaimin Gladiators are doing, though. They understand that the Shadow Fiend is probably one of the weaker heroes for them to run into. Oh, no, they ran in Arbet again. Yeah,
has been killed.
And you can see what they're doing, right? Like with their vision. They understand that they want to try and play around this jungle, and this is where the Arteezy Shadow Fiend is going to be, and they're going to see if they can catch him out. They've got him with the Pulverize.
But do they have the damage to kill him is the question, and indeed they do. But now the difficult part, how on earth do we get out of here? Boom already caught in with the Searing Chains. He's trying to get himself out. Nightfall has access to this black hole, just waiting for the opportunity. Channels it onto 2. Arbet is chasing Boom away, so they have an easy way to stun up both the Visage and the Celery. Dying. Visage is gone from A. Celery dies as well. Arbet cleaned up on the Primal Beast and still able to come back for a double kill. EG, they punish Gaimin Gladiators. They say, well, you can take the Shadow Fiend, but not sure if y'all have noticed, Shadow Fiend literally does not matter to us right now.
Yeah, it's kind of funny. You're looking at the kills that Gaimin Gladiators have, and they're all Arteezy. So he's just sitting here with a recovery minus. He's going to whack some creeps for a little bit and just let everybody else do the job for him. We see in this last fight, Nightfall once again just hits a 2-man black hole, and Arbet is literally untouched. They knew that the Snapfire was top because he was killing creeps. They also know that Draccio doesn't want to have any bar of any of these team fights because they just doesn't want to be a part of it. And Arbet, man, like he's going to be untouched. I wouldn't be too. Oh, I was going to say if that arrow hits there for the crit, Arbet is going to have a smorgasbord in front of him. But he's even going to go for a BKB. So Arbet is at least respecting the stuns that can come in here for Gaimin Gladiators. And I think once he gets that BKB, who actually touches him? I don't think anybody goes anywhere near this Hemisphere once he gets BKB. Oh, they found Tofu.
They have found Tofu, but they don't want Tofu. They would prefer to have Boom, and I think they saw him for a second. Nightfall cottons onto the idea that this is happening. They're going in. Tofu is actually coming in from the background with the onslaught to buy space and time for Tofu to escape. To be fair to Gaimin Gladiators, they do have this Observer Ward just south of the Radiant Outpost, which gave them the vision of the Moonlight Shadow. I think the Enigma was in this area, so they knew that it was coming. They could prepare accordingly. That's the only reason Tofu is allowed to live.
Yep, and so they get away from almost certain death, but once again, it's just Gaimin Gladiators just trying to hold out to a point where this Drow Ranger can start to deal damage. I think the one showing light for them is the fact that Arteezy hasn't kind of taken over the game much like Arbet has. They've got a lot of farm on Arteezy, now with the hand of minus and then going in towards the BKB, but this game hasn't completely spiraled out of control just yet. There still is going to be another few team fights left in for Gaimin Gladiators, but the question for me is how they're going to deal now with the hand of minus and then going in towards the BKB, but this game hasn't completely spiraled out of control just yet. There still is going to be another few team fights left in for Gaimin Gladiators, but the question for me is how they're going to deal with the Ember Spirit. Like, what do they really need here to get rid of the Ember? Maybe they just need to try and get BKB onto Boom and see if they can get him. I think if they can kill him once, they're going to be pretty happy with how they're going.
Yeah. Boom's BKB compare and contrast it to the BKB that we saw earlier today. It's taking a lot longer to emerge for him, unfortunately. Once it does give him a lot more options. But they need BKB on more than one hero. Eventually, I think they'll need on the Drow as well, if she's going to have any hope of sustaining herself and just surviving these team fights into what EG has available. For now, though, it's still them not being able to take tier 2 towers, so not yet at the point where we have to be like, oh god, the game's practically over. They can still play this one out. GG. Is he going to just jump this? I think Celery might die here. He needs to be very, very careful. I bet he's thinking about going in, but doesn't really want that smoke. He's fine without it. They do have a Blink Dagger now on Nightfall, so this is the perfect time. After clearing out this creep wave, I would not be surprised, Jeff Luke, if they just smoked up immediately, try to reveal this item somewhere on the map, and catch GG off guard.
Yeah, GG, they're doing good to just try and hold out onto their
No!
own jungle here. They saw the multi-shot. Okay, looks like they want to try and get Ace
revealed
instead,
herself.
though. Yep, Ace.
They have him underneath the vision by the outpost. Much easier kill for this Visage. And Arteezy was already pushing in this top wave. So you get this kill, you get the tier 2 tower, and then you connect onto the outpost, potentially running into the Roshan pit thereafter. Or you just do all of these things at the same time. Okay, Roche first. Roche first, at least. I was like, no way they're that cocky, right? They're not that far ahead that they can do all of it. So I'm glad that instead they come for the Roshan. They even popped a preemptive Moonlight Shadow in the event that Gaimin Gladiators were going to try and prevent this right now.
Well, that's the thing. It's like you look at the vision on the map right now, and they know that they have full control of the Dire jungle. The only real place that they haven't been able to get control of has been the triangle, but they know that there's at least some members of Gaimin Gladiators that are forcing themselves towards the bottom side of the map. They haven't put too much emphasis on that Radiant side of the jungle, and that's where, you know, a lot of their vision is centric towards the top half of the map, right? They got themselves the Roshan. Now they can take this tier 2 tower. Once they get this tier 2 tower, they can take control of the outpost, and then this map gets very, very small for the Drow. They still have control of their own outpost here, so they can walk back in towards their own jungle if they want to take control of that. But the way the EG are just kind of dotting their I's and crossing their T's just goes to show that this is the reason why these guys have only lost 2 games throughout the entirety of their group stage, right? They are so methodical, even though it looks like they might be, you know, trolling a little bit with RTZ, Requiem creeps and all that kind of stuff. These guys are still here to party. These guys are still here to win TI games. And the way they're doing it is just so regimented. The fact that they understand, hey, if we take this jungle away from Gaimin Gladiators, there's no way that this Drow is going to be able to come back into the game. Anybody that gets found by our bed is most likely going to die. And then we just soak up so much of the map, and our 3 cores can do so much work with so much gold, right? Like Arteezy, we've seen what Shadow Fiends can do. He's got that BKB coming out on the courier now. Our bed's getting closer and closer to his own. And then once Enigma gets his BKB, they literally have 3 black holes.
Yep. They only cost 1 black hole this entire game. Well, 2 actually. He solo cast a black hole onto Diracho top, and then the one we saw in the jungle. Also, on your points about Arteezy, seems like he's trolling a little bit. If the last several TIs have taught me anything, Fluke, is that you have to troll a little bit if you want to lift that Aegis. Can't get there the respectful way. All the respectful teams don't get the W. And now here we go. EG smoked up. They finally feel confident enough to fight with Arteezy. He's the strongest hero on the map, net worth-wise, has BKB, Requiem at the ready. Time to make something happen. Boom is the one that scouted first. They might get him with the Blink Black Hole, but they want a bigger target. They get the Stormhammer out, and yeah, you're right, Abed is just casually pushing bottom, but he's finishing his own BKB. It's up and available for him now as well. So even if they don't get kills from the smoke, the rest of EG can come connect down to the southern part of the map, meet him on the tier 1 tower and bottom, and then fight here. But GG, they want to stop this. They're smoking. They finally have BKB on Boom. If they don't win this fight, Fluke, I don't know what they're supposed to do for the next phase of this game.
They need to find a good angle here for the onslaught. I think that's the biggest thing for me. They at least know that somebody is up towards this triangle. Who they're going to find first, though? Let's play around. There is a Moonlight Shadow at the ready. They at least have a bit of vision. Enigma's putting his courier in the best spot, and they found Crit.
Got the gust out onto Crit with the multi-shot. They have the damage to bring down the Mirana, but he buys back instantly. And there's Arteezy, willing to commit his first life, dies very, very quickly. Erstwhile, we do see Boom activating BKB, going on to Fly. So Sven is dead, and now Arteezy comes back on the second life, but he got stunned up before he could get off the BKB. Yeah, he triggers out the Requiem, but I'm not sure he'll be allowed to escape. He is indeed. Meantime, Black Hole, though, committed onto Tofu, as Abed helps to finish him off. Dominating streak for the Enigma, but that's a Black Hole coming in just onto a Snapfire. BKB is also committed from the side of EG, and a loss on the Aegis. if you're Gaimin Gladiators, you take that fight every day of the week. It turns out that being brave in these situations does pay off, Fluke, as they find and connect with a successful team fight.
Yeah, it is exactly the way that you need to start getting back into this fight. We see here with the replay as well, they walk in. They had a nice ward on the cliff as well as they walked up and didn't have their smoke being broken. They didn't have vision on the Enigma though, so that you could tell that they were having to just kind of play themselves spaced a little bit. But as soon as they put a Boom in front of his face, it was very, very hard for Nightfall to try and get a commitment there. And you see what happens when a Drow Ranger gets completely untouched in these fights. Arteezy has to pop the BKB Requiem to at least get himself out of here so he can TP away. But it just got to a point there where Nightfall wasn't able to commit onto the Blink Black Hole onto the Drow Ranger, and it would have been a rough time for him to at least land any more than one or two heroes in that black hole. So Gaimin Gladiators, they fight their way back into this. I think EG just kind of overstaying their welcome in the triangle as well. We're not really having an idea where the rest of Gaimin Gladiators were. It was very, very hard for them to try and get that fight going their way. And this is what I'm going to talk about through the entirety of these group stages here, Snare. The aggressive team is usually the team I'm going to favor.
Yep, Cobra is now going out onto Abed. Gaimin on the back line here to try go for a pincer maneuver on EG. They succeed in killing Celery, and now Arteezy with his BKB active wants to chomp down the rest of these heroes. They're chasing Ace. Him and his familiars though, able to get away onto the low ground. They're still alive for now. Fly in the meantime falling a little bit low. Doesn't get caught by these multi-shots from the Drow. Ace resummons the familiars. He's still alive. Fly wants the angle for the Stormhammer. Is able to find it, but now Fly has overextended as an onslaught comes in back from Boom. Loses his life, and EG, they've been rebuffed. They started this fight, they were not able to complete it, and Gaimin Gladiators, they sense weakness here. They smoke up to try and catch EG on the retreat, but EG already, they have an observer ward plopped down on the high ground. They know that the smoke is incoming, and they are retreating back behind their own tier 1 tower for safety. Even Moonlight Shadow for good measure, just in case the fight starts when they're not ready.
Oh man, that would have been so lovely if Roshan was up here for Gaimin Gladiators. They're in such a good position after winning a team fight. Being able to take control back of this map. You can see it's so hard to try and play around these heroes when you don't have vision of them. Pretty's walking in. Oh no.
Gust.
Wait, is that a dieback on Crit? When was the last? He bought back a while ago, didn't he? Yeah.
He brought back on that fight that they took inside Dire Triangle. So I think he was buying back at the time because they still had Moonlight Shadow, but now he's just gone for 50 seconds. That's a long time at this stage of the game for a Marana to be off the field, so a lot more space for the side of Gaimin Gladiators.
Yeah, a lot more space now for Gaimin Gladiators to be able to take these towers. And this is why these teams are starting to fall back on this Visage Drow combination, just because of how much damage it can actually do. Visage, another one of those heroes that is extremely hard to deal with in these team fights if you don't just have the raw kind of damage output, especially with the Gravekeeper's Cloak. And we've just seen what Gaimin Gladiators are able to do when they win these team fights, when they make them relatively slow. They've got the Wraith Pack for a lot of the damage mitigation. Dracho is doing a fantastic job, though. He had Arbed on his head for the entirety. He was able to kite up the BKB. And then as soon as the BKB is down for Arbed, he has to understand that he has to get away from this Drow Ranger. If there ever is a Gust that can come out, they can get the rotation with something like a Fire Snap Cookie, and Arbed could potentially be going down. So Gaimin Gladiators are playing this game really, really well. They're putting their bodies on the line and playing around their vision really, really well, right? Like they're understanding where they can see evil geniuses are on the opposite side of the map. So they say, okay, let's try and take ourselves a free tier 1 tower, see if we can get ourselves a tier 2 tower. Because if we start getting to the point where we've got a few more items on these scary heroes, then albeit we might be down by 12 kills, but these 12 kills are going to be able to quickly swing back into our own favor. And it is 4,000 net worth lead so far for EG, but I definitely don't feel like they are in control as much as they were, you know, maybe 10 minutes ago.
Win probability reflects that as well, as it's been slowly but surely coming and trending in favor of the side of Gaimin Gladiators. In these fights, the more they go in their direction, also slows down the possibility from the side of EG. But now they might get their bravery back here, Fluke, because they've gotten the BKB for this Enigma. You were mentioning it in the draft that they don't really have an answer for the BKB Black Hole. The only option they have is literally being right-clicked down by Dyraicho, but that is pretty much it. So if Nightfall can find an effective Black Hole, they don't have an opportunity to stop him. Still, it all comes down to whether or not he finds that Black Hole. So EG might decide to smoke, but actually they're pinging out bottom. They're just going to go for this. But top lane, Abed is going to distract them. This is so nice. He knows that somebody's going to be nearby to try and maybe potentially catch him out. And the rest of his team just beating down on the buildings. Tier 3 tower already at half HP.
Yeah, it's the Warden, the Radiant Jungle here, spotted out 4 of the members of Gaimin Gladiators trying to trend towards Abed. They understand they're going to force them back here. They almost take the tier 3 tower as well, and you can see that Gaimin Gladiators, they wanted to try and stick as many heroes as they could towards this top lane to see if they can take down Abed and punish him for this split push, but as soon as they know that there's 1 or 2 heroes that are gone there, Abed feels relatively okay with being in that top side of the map, and now beautiful smoke up here from EG, seeing if they can catch up these split members of Gaimin Gladiators, but wonderful little scan there. Yep. Understanding what's been going on here, and now the smoke should be in retaliation from Gaimin Gladiators, and yes, it is indeed.
Man, I love high-level Dota. This is amazing to watch. Both these squads understanding exactly what they need to do when they need to do it in this game. I still would like to see, that could be a potential option. After he finishes his Aghanim Scepter here on the Primal Beast, I want to see him go for this Blink Dagger. Blink Dagger would have been nice on Abed for the Blink Pulverize. Unfortunately, it will not be there, and Abed will break the smoke. They're aware of where all these members are. Here in the high ground, Tofu trying to get rid of the vision, forced off away from the arrow. Celery though, he's in danger as RTZ wants to kill him. The mech gets proc though and ends up keeping alive, but Tofu will still end up dead, forced into buyback. They managed to muscle down the tombstone as well. Abed wants to go in, able to bring down Celery, who he himself lacks buyback. Erstwhile on the back end of the fight. Ace, he's caught out. There's going to be a Stormhammer directly onto his face. Black hole onto him and boom. And it's the BKB variant, so there's no cancel available as 3 heroes have fallen. Last time around, EG were able to just waltz into the Roshan pit after winning such a good fight. Roshan's still on the back burner for 30 seconds, but my goodness, Gaimin Gladiators get caught out in a big way on that one. And what a reveal from Nightfall for his black hole with the BKB.
Yeah, it was a little bit of an awkward fight here, as we see in the replay. Abed was ever so close. If he didn't have that lucky illusion rune, that it could have been a bit of an awkward scenario for him. Was able to eventually get the kill there onto Celery, forced out a bit of the onslaught, and then Ace was just completely disconnected from the entirety of Gaimin Gladiators. He gets himself caught out in the back. Spirit Vessel comes in, double black hole, and all she wrote there for EG. And now that they've got themselves Roshan being respawned, they can set their attention towards that. They can take control of this Radiant side of the Dire side of the jungle as well. Once they take down this final tier 2 tower, EG are going to be in prime position. They've already done a whole boatload of damage towards this tier 3 tower on the bottom side of the map. As soon as they start to transition that towards the top side of the map, we've seen a lot of teams go for the top and the bottom side if they can get a lane of racks, just because it allows you to have much more space on the map to play around with once it gets to the latter stages. And now EG well in control once again. It was a bit of a spicy couple of minutes in that middle phase of the game, but EG now with an Aegis in the hand of RTZ. They're feeling pretty good with how this game is going. You also got the shard here on Abed as well. It's always nice when RTZ doesn't gobble everything up.
Yep. I mean, Abed has Aghanims of his own, has the shard now as well, feeling super, super strong. RTZ picked up an AC, so this is a Shadow Fiend I would not want to be playing next to. If he shows up, man, it's a lot of damage. It's a lot of right-click damage. And unfortunately, there's no real armor items on the side of Gaimin Gladiators themselves. The only thing they have is this damage mitigation that comes in from the Wraith Pact of Ace, but it's pretty much it. If Arteez is on top of you, he will be able to kill you very, very damn fast. Alright, so we don't want to fight while they have this Aegis up. Do we just dodge and farm and then hope we just never have to engage them while they still have the Aegis?
Yeah, I think they can do a good job at just kind of playing the bottom half of the map here. There's not really a spot that EG want to be playing. They want to try and play towards the top half of the map. They want to try and take this tier 2 tower, which they really have here with Nightfall. They want to put pressure on this tier 3 tower as well, because if they take this whole lane of racks, then it's going to be relatively easy for them to go through the bottom side. But Gaimin Gladiators, they're just in a better macro spot here. They're going to see if they can go for a trade, though. Abed is ready to respond.
Abed, that was such a huge slide of fist, and so many procs on the Maelstrom Chain Lightning. Destroyed actually most of this wave by himself. Still has BKB active, so it's actually under no threat. But the main thing is that he's buying space and time, because top, they are able to push onto a tier 3. Can he cancel the Diracho TP? Yes, he can. Diracho was stuck. And the rest of EG, they see that as a signal. They immediately go back in through this mid lane. RTZ, he's throwing in the right clicks, taking the melee racks. They want the tier 3 in the top lane to finish this one off as well. And GG, they're forced to walk back with Diracho, but without the right-click damage of Diracho, there's nothing to fear here for EG. They can do whatever the hell they want in this. They still have an Aegis available as well. Still a BKB on Arteezy. And by the time Dyrachyo gets here, I think we'll have already lost the second lane of Rax for himself here, Fluke. But they jump him now. Onslaught comes in. Can they take the first life? They do through the Pulverize.
Okay.
Dyrachyo has arrived in time as well. They took down their opponent, Wraith Pact. Abed, though, jumps in. Oh, no. Arrow almost caught Dyrachyo. Is forced into the BKB. EG, though, now that they've lost this Aegis, they will remove themselves from the base. But it is still a full lane of Rax that they claim through this mid lane.
Yeah, I liked what Gaimin Gladiators were doing, forcing EG to try and make a decision there, but EG stood strong. They understood, hey, we're the ones with the Aegis here. We have a Shadow Fiend with an AC and presence of the Dark Lord effects building. So it's going to be a lot of negative armor that's going to be going towards these towers, so I'm going to take them a lot faster than what a underfarmed Drow Ranger should be able to. And that's why EG just stood strong there, and it always got to a point where Dyrachyo knew that he had to try and TP away and see if he could get away with not BKBing, but the fact that he didn't BKB just made it so easy for Abed to be able to just Remnant in, and he had a Remnant top as well, so he Remnanted past Dyrachyo. He just hit him with the side of the Searing Chains and said, thanks buddy, I'll see you in your base when you get here in 40 seconds, so. Now they're in a rough spot here. Snare, they're in a very, very rough spot. They've still got their BKB up on Dyrachyo. They haven't really felt the impact of Boom. He went for this Aghanim Scepter. I like it. The break is relatively nice, and a little bit of extra damage is good because he's always going to get right-clicked, but isn't enough for them to win this fight. Oh
well, it's not if he dies first without being able to get off a BKB.
Oh, the
and there's the black hole onto 3 coming in from Nightfall. They're all gonna die. Requiem on top of it. It's a full 5-hero wipe. Somebody call the referee. This is a TKO as EG knock GG on their backs, destroy them at the end of the game, and secure themselves top of the group with a 2-0 sweep. Evil geniuses. My gosh, they look clean as hell. They faltered yesterday for just a small second against PSG.LGD. But that's PSG.LGD. If it's not the best in the world, you don't seem to have any chance against evil geniuses right now.
But man, this is what happens when this Enigma hero who has been basically perma-banned throughout the entirety of today is let through in the second phase. The end of the second phase as well, Snare.